What's going on, guys? Welcome back to week 3 of the Lost Woods Draft League Season 3. I'm Ronald, coach of the Waltham Warthogs, and we are bringing a double video today. We are going to be pushing out the week 3 Koraidon division rankings. Like I said, I wasn't planning on doing any rankings this week, but why not? I have the time, and honestly, it's honestly kind of fun talking about Pokemon. Similar to the Koraidon ones this week, no gameplay, just talk about the teams and their matchups. I think one of the cool things about this week is this is actually going to be my first time getting a look at what people brought this week. I haven't. The only match I've seen is the Muhammad Cat match and the bits and pieces of the Elena and Chris match. But otherwise, I've got no clue what I am looking at here. So I'm looking forward to it. And just in advance, this is also not my division, so I don't have to really say it, but don't take anything personal. Just prove me wrong on a lot of this stuff if you're upset. But definitely a much different sense in the Koraidon division than the Koraidon division when it comes to how the teams stack up to one another. So let's get into it. I hope you guys enjoy watching, and let's go to the rankings. And kicking off our week 3 Koraidon Power Rankings, we start at number 14 with the Michigan Garchomps, coached by Jasmine. Previous ranking 13. This is a brand new team. Kat ended up leaving for the season for whatever reasons. I'm not sure. I'm not involved, but hopefully they are all right. I believe swamped with stuff. I'm not sure, but Jasmine will be taking over this team. And similar to what we did with Colby's team, we're just going to look at some changes. I don't remember Kat's previous team. However, what I do remember is Overquill was in Amoonguss. So Amoonguss has been dropped off the team. Overquill is added. And I think if we look at the team, I think a lot of the back half was taken off. I'm not sure, but I think the Weirdeer, the Breedloom, the Vikavolt, the Kingdra, and the Oinkalong are all new additions to the team. Definitely feels more like a rain team than it used to feel like. Where, yes, you have the Pelly, but you've got the really clear options in the Kingdra, Basque Legion, Male, Overquill, the Smeargle for support, the Zoroark if you want to surprise something, with the Tinkatongue still around. So I think it's really cool doubling down on the rain mode. It's a high risk, high reward move in which if you center yourself too much around the rain mode, it's going to be super easy to counter you in draft. But just the amount of pieces with just 3 really big rain abusers, of which you can have 2 usable abilities on Basque Legion, 2 on Overquill, and Kingdra, kind of needing Swift Swim to function. But overall, very interesting changes. Looking forward to see what Jasmine does with the team. They will debut against AJ this week, and I am looking forward to see how that works out. At number 13, I have Pumpkaboos, coached by Jackson, previous rank 14. Took a 2-1 loss to the Daishe Dogos. It's a welcome to the league matchup in which you're playing a team that's gotten consistently better. If we look at this as a comment, this match slip is 100% wrong. I don't know why Basculin White Striped is here. I assume that's meant to be Basque Legion female, but oh well. Looking at Jackson's team here, the Sugarberry Incineroar, really bringing us back to the Sword and Shield days that I 100% played during. Good start. The Incineroar put in a lot of work in this first game, presumably with your Flare Blitzes and your knockoffs. Vivillon, super susceptible, Dusclops, even Ursaluna, just needing to get this stuff down. Also, another team sheet area, you got a Typhlosion instead of a Hisuian Typhlosion. Again, really fixable stuff. This isn't the only team sheets errors as well. I know there's a few more. And I will say that while Koraidon has been better, or Koraidon is better about OTS, Koraidon has been better about getting the match slip right. Not to call out this match specifically, but there's been a few instances. Um, and then you've got your Murkrow with dual weather, which is really cool because you can both enable your Basket Legion female here with the Muddy Water flip turns, Swift Swim, not Swift Swim, it's adaptability here, or your Sunny Days with your Typhlosion, or Hisuian Typhlosion, or if you want to go through Snow Mode. So we kind of have a triple weather going on here, which is a really cool idea. Gives you a ton of flexibility into what you want to do. Your Overheat Follow Me Taunt, pretty standard set. Um, really, very unique team. Um, Unfortunately, after this first game, just could not do any damage. No, looks like no KOs, in game 2 or game 3. Um, Presumably, the Vivillon just completely shut what this team had going down. Yes, you had Vital Spirit Magmar for that, which came out in both Game 2 and Game 3 on lead, it looks like, but still completely shut down. Um, I think definitely an issue in Game 3 was you only brought one of your big damage dealers. Yes, Alola Ninetales does quite a chunk, but when your entire game plan is centered around what I believe is Hisuian Typhlosion and Basket Legion Female, you kind of have to go after those centerpieces and set them up. And I guess it wasn't a very clean job doing that. I think the Ninetales was a good adjustment to the Dozo Giri mode, considering Dondozo wrapped up. Also, I do not believe that there's only 2 kills in this game, considering 4 things died and there's no recoil. So this team sheet is either I'm really misinterpreting it or it is very wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm just being dumb on it. I don't think I am, but who knows? But overall, welcome to the league, Jackson. First match lost, but it's all right. You're picking up a new team. Jackson will end up playing the Guy Freak in week 3, but looking forward to see how they continue to prep and build this team out. At number 12, I have the Cosmic Clefairies, coached by CJ with a previous ranking of 12. Took a 2-0 loss to the Hard Trick Room Harvard Hatterines. Look at CJ's team this week, or at least the match slip. Indeedee Hatterene, Rhyperior Torkoal, clearly the guy more going for the hard Trick Room, rather than a clear size spam. Especially in game 2, when it was focused purely on the Indeedee and Dusknoir, with Torkoal just completely wrapping up with Rhyperior in the back. Yes, Arachnid tried to put in a bit of work, but also Arachnid should have died here. Again, another thing missing from the sheet. Yeah, Rhyperior and Torkoal really good. I think while definitely a lot of focus is going to be on the Indeedee Hatterene, not being able to take care and prevent the Trick Room is slightly unfortunate. A really cool team from CJ though. You've got your Wide Lens Technician Pop Bomb stuff with U-Turn and Bite. For tempo stuff, you have your Vital Spirit Ape to defend against any Spore stuff that could have come out that didn't show up. With a Papaya Berry for expanding force stuff. Scarf Compound Eyes, Galvantula. I think Sticky Web was a cool idea in practice. However, seeing the Hard Trick Room, I doubt it got used very much. Struggle Bug is a really cool tech on here, though. Funny Button Camerupt with the Salt Vest. Specs Slowking Galar is also really cool. Got a bit of action in game 1 and 2, but fortunately couldn't get much done. And then finally, a Koba Berry, which is one of my personal favorite draft items. Arachnid. With the Arachnid did a bit of work in game 2, but unfortunately was not enough. Admittedly, not definitely a matchup that it feels Nagai has a lot of advantage in because CJ just doesn't have a ton of hard trick room answers on this specific roster. I know it's really hard to cover for everyone, and I'm honestly not that familiar with any of these players' teams entirely. But even not having like an imprison on here when the trick room's probably coming out is a bit surprising to me. I don't know if any of CJ's Mons could have got imprisoned. Um, the Slow King could have got imprisoned, but you want to run the spec stuff this week. I mean, yeah, Slow King's the main option here, but you're going spec, so it's really hard to stop it. It's all right though. Um, Definitely two very hard matchups for CJ out the gate. CJ will get to play Hawk next week in what will be a very fun matchup. So looking forward to see how they continue with the team. I think very cool team, very unorthodox, something I would not expect to face. But looking for that bounce back in the coming weeks. At number 11, I have the Marlboro Master Balls, coached by Peaceful Nate, at a previous ranking of 11. Took a 2-0 loss to the New York Ninetales. Um, Interesting team. Um, de- I will say I do like that the team was a bit more standard than it was last week. Last week was everywhere. This week, bit more standard. You've got your scale shot, loaded dice Dragonite with Sunny Day. Um, which Sunny Day feels really weird on this team, admittedly, because you're not boosting anything. Your only goal with Sunny Day is to hurt the Rotom Wash. I feel like, and that's just not going to be that effective, in my opinion. I think a Rain Dance would have been much better to try to set the Blastoise up. Although Blastoise did carry Rain Dance. Um, Air Balloon Raichu, really interesting. Um, cool idea. You got your imprisoned Bronzong with Iron Head. Maybe you run Body Press instead of Protect, but I didn't know the matchup. Um, Triple Axle Hitmontop. Again, maybe a CC would be nice here. And then your Assault Vest, Lucario. Um, Admittedly, definitely a team that struggles into what Mr. B ended up bringing because you lead the Blastoise and Hitmon or in the Bronzong in game 1 against the Ursa and Clefable. And yes, you Iron Head the Clefable and you probably click Water Spout, but if Ursaluna can live the Water Spout, which it appears to have, that thing's gonna blow you up. And Rotom Wash and Tyranitar are good enough to clean up in the back, in which I guess Lucario has an Aura Sphere, but assuming that this is Sash Tyranitar, which I think Mr. B is going to like to run a lot of the season, it's going to take 2 to get that thing down. Game 2 with the Dragonite Raichu adjustment. Same thing, just Ursaluna Rotom in the front this time, which means I think Mr. or I still think Mr. B definitely had advantage early on because they can just pop that air balloon and do a bunch of damage. Um, yeah, happens. Mr. B is a very tough opponent. Nate's still getting a hold of the team. Um, like I said, still definitely early in the season. While like yes, I've been slightly more critical of Nate seems just because it's a bit odd. I think needing a bit more. Nate just needs more damage here. Like if you look at this team, you're the biggest damage you have is Lucario and Spout Blastoise. And Spout Blastoise is not going to be able to survive. But when you're running like just Iron Head, just Triple Axle, you have Grass Knot Knockoff, which is decent, but Raichu's not going to do a ton. it just needs a bit more, in my opinion, on the damage options. And Nate does have some very good options when it comes to damage. But I think in the future weeks, for example, I believe this week they are going to be playing Oath. Um, just a bit more damage to come out and help the team out is what I would be looking for. Get the Crocodile involved, get the Gengar involved, even the Magmortar can have some really nice play. But more damage, but otherwise, I think solid week definitely shows that they're starting to learn the team and the team building, and we'll see where they end up in the coming weeks. At number 10, I have the Oak Trees, coached by Oath, with a previous rank of 10. Took a 2-0 loss to the Toronto Toads. I think this is a team that is much better than its record showing right now. I'm still a fan of this team. I think it's just run into some very hard matchups overall in Muhammad and AJ to start off the season. Looking at it, bringing Life Orb Goldengo and Bandit Arcanine, really cool. Arcanine only has to really watch the Bisharp for Defiant stuff, which is not that huge of a concern. Triple coverage move on Milotic, Electroweb, Electabuzz, and then you're just standard Meowscarada set. I hate Triple Axel, Saps Meowscarada, but that's just because if you watched last season, you know. Really cool Assault Vest Wheezing, though. Acid Spray is a really cool idea. You can pair that with the Goldengo or the Milotic. Yeah, again, we can't really tell too much with what happened, but from looking at this, just couldn't break through the Ferrograph and Gastrodon combo in game 2, which are not known for their offense, but if these things are picking up so many KOs, that yes, AJ started with the Magnezone and Dragapult, which like super hard to get through. It's gonna put a ton of pressure early, on everything. But the friggin' like Flamigo in the back in game 1, and then the Frig in the back in game 2, just could not be gone through. We don't know items, yes, but like Meowscarada presumably triple axle to pick up Flamigo. Um, Gastrodon was led, so Meowscarada couldn't punish that. Um, but overall, again, can't really say too much. Not knowing the teams, but I like this team. I like where it's going. I think bringing Levitate was really cool here. Um, AJ really brought a team that didn't really mind losing abilities. So I think Levitate was the correct call if you're bringing something. But whatever ground move AJ may have been looking at, which just peeking at AJ's team, I don't know what he's clicking for ground moves. Or Gastrodon, Earth Power probably. So I guess that's the only thing to really consider. But still, I think the team's in a fine spot. I'm not worried about the team here, but we'll have to see how they do in the coming weeks. Again, they have had a very hard start to their schedule. Um, but they definitely have some matchups that I think they do have some favorable ones in, but they've also got quite a few hard matchups coming up. So we'll see how they do. Slot at 10. They play, I believe, Peaceful Nate next week. So we'll see how that matchup ends out. At number 9, I have the Island Dragons, coached by Hawk the Wanderer, at a previous ranking of 9. 2-0 loss to the Boston Launchers. Hawks team feels this looks instantly like a lot of what we saw last week. Your chilly reception Blizzard against with Aurora Veil freeze dry Creognal. I think these two Mons are relying way too much on one another because I think going against Calvin this week, Calvin can just swap in the Polytoad, and all the work done to get that stuff set up is gone unless you do it on the same turn. Um, Not sure what the Shuckaberry on the Jolteon is for, but probably just looking for an item in coverage, so I don't really hate that. I think Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball are really good coverage options, especially considering going against Archaludon and Azumarill. Weakness policy Hydreigon is also really cool if that got procced. It looks like considering 2 KOs came out and game 2 it got procced. Also another team sheet error. Hawk has no deaths in game 2. And then you got a Sash Berserker coming out with your standard Assault Vest Rillaboom. I think bringing back the Grassy Seed Creongle is interesting here. I don't know how much work you put in, but considering you're going against Archaludon, it's probably fine. I say that as Hawk did not pick up a single KO in the first game. Game 2, Hydreigon did get loose, got going against Kilowattrel and Torracat, assuming Earth Powers and Dracos came out to knock them out. If we're assuming that Kilowattrel is not Sash, which it very well might not be. I'm assuming Torracat's Eviolite, and Azumarill's probably Citrus. Really, I like the coverage move on Berserker for Aerial Ace, but in all honesty, looking at the team now, I'm not sure what it would be for, assuming the Ludicolo or Hariyama, but neither of those really seem appealing into this matchup, so definitely still progress on Hawk's part. I think Hawk is definitely getting used to the team. Calvin's team is just really, really good in my opinion. I'm still very high on it. I still think Arch is amazing. But we definitely Hawk, I think I say this as someone who struggled with this, a bit of the same ideas coming out. And I think it's just the chilly reception Aurora Veil was just a bit too much in this matchup, considering Calvin had really consistent rain. Either way, it's still really cool. I think a lot of the stuff on this team is cool. I really like the Hydreigon and the Jolteon this week. I forgot to check any previous transactions, but Hawk did pick up the Jolteon this week. So I really like that pickup. Or he picked it up last week, I want to say, but it's putting in some work. So really like it on the squad. Hawk still got. I think Hawk has a surprising amount of points to play with. Yeah, Hawk's got 9 points to play with, so we'll see what they do with that. But overall, pretty solid. Looking forward to see what Hawk does against CJ next week, and we'll see how they end up. At number 8, I have the Boston Claunchers, coached by Mogo, previous rank 7. This rank down is nothing really against Calvin. It's just I can't really rank anyone else any lower. Took a 2-0 win over the Island Dragons. I think starting from here, the entirety of the top 8 is just really, really, really good teams. I think if you have 2 tiers of teams, they start right here, where this is all what you might call the upper echelon. But I'm not too concerned about Calvin. He's only moved down because I have to give other teams their flowers. Really, really cool start to this team in which if you don't want to bring stamina and you can't decide between sturdy or stalwart or Chalodon, just pick both. Sash Archaludon is super, super cool. Got to work in game 1. Your Rindoberry Polytoad. Cool ideas, Loreball Ludicolo, and your standard Belly Drum Citrus and Eviolite Torcat. With Cloak Kilowattrel. Super, super big fan of this team. Did everything it needed to. Arch got going in game 1, Polytoad, taking stuff out, assuming the Slow King died to a Life Orb, and then just swap, well, not exactly swapping, but dropping the Polytoad for the Azumarill. Really gutsy call, but considering it needed for knockoff or Ice Spinner onto the Rillaboom, really, really smart in the end of the day. Why is it smart? Because you got Sap Sipper, and you are not getting through that. Sap Sipper and Volt Absorb against Jolteon Rillaboom. Crazy work. That works out super, super well. No action of the Ludicolo, unfortunately, but it wasn't really needed. When you've got Kilowattrel and Budget Incineroar leading off each game, you don't really need it. Um, Considering you want to bring the Arch and then either your Azumarill or Polytoad in the back. Super solid week from Calvin. I have no complaints about how he did, how he played. Um, like I said, he's only moved down to give other teams their flowers, but still a super scary player. Uh, Calvin will play Muhammad next week, and we will see how they fare up into one another. At number 7, I have the Daishe Dogos, previous ranking of 8. Took a 2-1 win over the Pumpkaboos. To start, we'll look at this team first. Assault Vest Ursaluna is super interesting to start, and that's because it's running Guts, but you have no Flame Orb. So immediately you're sacrificing a Protect for that, but you're running Wisp on Dusclops, and that's where it gets interesting. You can side Wisp, get Guts online, and that will sometimes lead to this is one of the sheets that's wrong, um, which will lead to, well, nothing really happened in game 1. In game 3, it kind of just went off. Picking up at least 2 KOs. I'm not sure about these other 2. They're somewhere. You're running Liquidation over Wave Crash on Dondozo, which is really interesting. Your standard Sash Tatsugiri with Rain Dance. Life Orb Reuniclus, and then I think the sauce is the Scarf Vivillon. Where you're the fastest thing and you can get sleep powders going, which aren't good into Magmar, but you can click Hurricane, Pollen Puff, Rage Powder. Really cool. It's gonna assumingly outspeed everything, and it just gets going completely. Um, Game 2, opponent did not have anything to get this Dozogiri over with, and in game 3 just could not get any kills going. Overall, solid week. I think the one sticking point that is why that this team moved up a slot is they got Grimmsnarl in a fantastic um move because Grimmsnarl hit the waivers um and Reuniclus in its last ride here was dropped alongside Cloyster to get Grimmsnarl. And that is a crazy move. I don't know. I don't know why Grim was placed on waivers. But super good move. I'm very excited to see them. Because my entire plan going into this draft was if it if Arch did not fall was to play Screens Ursaluna, and now this guy gets to play Screens Ursaluna with a solid Trick Room mode with a Vivillon with Dozogiri. So this team is getting really scary, really fast. This team, depending on their week 3, could easily shoot up in my rankings. That's how good it's starting to turn out to be. I'd be very scared if I had to play this team if I'm in this division. And we'll see how they do next week, where they get a very big challenge in Chris. So we'll see how they fare and what the outcome of that game is. But super solid week. If you're watching this on Breadman, please fix the match slip, please. But overall, solid week. At number 6, I have the Macho Mudkips, coached by Chris, at a previous ranking of 1. Definitely a bit of an off week for Chris. Took a 2-0 loss to the Battleboro Breelooms, which was a 1 seed versus 2 seed for me. Looking at the team, I think there's some cool stuff here. To get around the Indeedee Psychic terrain, going in Unburdened Psychic Seed, super cool. So there's no Prankster. You've got your Blow Up Everything Delayed. You've got your Mian Chao. Your Lumberry Garchomp to deal with Dire Claw stuff. Prim, and then Electivire. Looks like game 1 just could not get any damage really on the board. Could not get through the Sneasler and DD Mail, and then Mamoswine just came in the back and cleaned everything up really cleanly. Rotombo contributing. Grafaiai getting a KO on the Indeedee Mail, presumably through knockoff. Game 2, Sneasler just went ham. Nothing really to say about that. Sneasler did Sneasler things. The Volcarona did not matter in the back. But Sneasler and Rotombo finished this game. I think I remember watching trying to get the coaching off on the Glade because get this attack and defense going, but unfortunately was not able to get anything done with it apart from a KO with Glade and Mian Chao. I'm not concerned. Yes, Chris fell, but that's just because you take a loss and other people win. You're gonna fall, but this is a team that, yes, you could argue I could have moved it further down. I'm not comfortable moving Chris down. This team is really good, and Chris is a very good draft player. There's a reason that he will bounce back from this and improve. I'm not concerned at all. I think he'll do very well in the coming weeks and to close out the season. They get to play Breadman next week, so we will see how they adjust and bounce back after a tough week this week. At number 5, I have the New York Ninetales, coached by Mr. B at a previous rank of 5. Pretty clean 2-0 win versus the Marlboro Master Balls. I mean, this is all just good stuff. Starting off with your Ursaluna Blood Moon with your standard set. Good stuff. Deciding to go with Clear Amulet Tyranitar this week. Really cool. Along with the Sash Excadrill from Sand Mode. Did not need to come. Clefable, P2, Rotom Wash, all pretty standard good stuff. And Ursaluna Blood Moon just kind of washed this entire team. Could not get to the Blood Moon effectively, and when they did get to the Blood Moon, it was a bit too late because they couldn't kill it in game 1 along with anything, because when the Blood Moon comes out and the Rotom comes in, this thing is just so defensive, you're not going to be able to get through it, or the T-Tar, and with the Clef Follow Me supporting. Very solid stuff. And then, contrary to that, in game 2, Rotom Wash just came on lead and just obliterated everything it needed to. Got Wisps off, got Hydro Pumps, Thunderbolts. Really a pain in the side of Peaceful Nate. Not even needing to go to Porygon 2 Trick Room mode. This team dominated the mid-speed. It didn't need to go fast mode with Excadrill. It didn't need to go slow mode with P2. It just stayed right in the middle and just kind of destroyed whatever came in front of it. So, great week for Mr. B. Reason I didn't move him down is because it's going to be a bounce back week, and they proved me right on that. Although it's all standard stuff, it's just good stuff. Like, what are you going to do about it? And Mr. B is definitely turning this into a team of what can you do to stop this team? And the answer for a lot of people is not a lot. So, super solid week. And we'll see how they fare next week when they get to play Elena in week 3. At number 4, I have the Toronto Toads, coached by AJ at a previous rank of 6. AJ took a very solid 2-0 win against the Oak Trees, and I decided to move AJ up because they've had a very, very strong start. And I think some of this team building stuff is really, really cool. If you'd like to direct your attention to the Adrenaline Orb Bisharp that got a kill. Bisharp got a kill in a 2025 draft league. Defiant Adrenaline Orb, that's a pretty sick set. Pair that next to an Ally Switch Frig. Insanely sick set. Super solid. Did not bring a team that needed a lot of abilities, and the one ability it did arguably need was Sap Sipper Frigraph, which surprise, no one would see that coming. Especially considering you've got your Sucker Punch on Meowscarada. So Sap Sipper, definitely a complete surprise, protects the Gastrodon as well. Really, really cool. Dual Wing Beat as well in the Flamigo for the Meowscarada, holding a Lumberry to get around the Weezing. Dragon Dart, Sucker, Disable on the Dragapult. Earth Power and Water on Gastrodon. Really, really solid stuff. Took a +5 differential. Dragapult with its sash did work in game 1. Frigraph Gastrodon anchored the team in game 2. When you bring like your 4 most defensive Mons, like you're leaving behind a Dragapult and a Magnezone, which people would think is your biggest attackers, and you still put on that big of a clinic because Gastrodon is just that broken into this opponent. That's impressive stuff. Very, very solid. This Gastrodon is quickly turning into a pain in the Koraidon backside. Super good overall. I think one of the 2-0s, I think AJ is starting to prove themselves that this is a team that you cannot mess around when you play them. Yes, they're a vet in the league. Yes, they've been here for this is their 3rd season, but this is both the best team they've had, in my opinion, and also the best they've been playing. So this is a very, very dangerous person to play against right now. AJ will play Jasmine in their debut, which will not be a fun matchup for Jasmine to play to start off their season. But overall, I love AJ's team. I think they've been building very well and ready to see what they continue to do. At number 3, I have the Harvard Hatterines, coached by Nagai Freak at a previous rank of 4. Pretty commanding 2-0 win versus the Cosmic Clefairies. They brought their hard Trick Room mode this week. The Dusknoir pickup happened here, which starting off very, very strong for them in this set. Did not do much in game 2, but still managed to set up exactly how they needed to. When you've got 3 different mons that can click Trick Room, it's like which one's going to click it, which one's going to click a damaging move. No Expanding Force on the Hatterene is really interesting. Deciding to go with the Protect instead. Definitely fearing Wide Guard stuff, leaving the Psychic. But these 2 damage dealers with your Rhyperior and Torkoal put in a ton of work, all 8 KOs for Nagai in the set. Did not need to dip into the Expanding Force Raichu mode, which would have been really, really cool to get to see debut. But I think definitely some cool stuff, showing that they're willing to respect the Wide Guard that Arachninid could bring by bringing Psychic and D-Gleam. So running Magic Bounce. Changing up to this Dusknoir is a really good pickup that they got for this week. I really like the Frisk ability on this squad, because when you're running hard Trick Room and you're kind of like telegraphed in a sense, especially on this team sheet preview, it's like if Raichu's not in the lead, you're clicking Trick Room. Having that extra information to kind of give you back an edge. Works pretty well. But yeah, the fact that this Rhyperior and Historical just both got out of control shows that they've definitely improved. As a player, this is their first draft league, but they've been playing very, very well. This is another team that it's like, what are you gonna do about it? Hard Trick Room Edition. And the answer for people has been not a lot because the guy I haven't played him in a long time. It's maybe been a year, and I played him at both our first tournaments and 2-0'd him. But just seeing how this has gone, I'm excited when I get to play them again because I can tell that they've improved as a player a lot. When yes, Hard Trick Room expanding size spam sun stuff is now their bread and butter. To say at least I believe from what I saw out of Reg H. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they've significantly improved a lot and have been being able to show even just on the screen that they can set Trick Room, safely get their mons in, and go to town. I think even as whatever says what people think about Hard Trick Room shows that they've improved as a player. So super, super happy with how this has been turning out for them. The guy will get to play Jackson next week. And looking forward to see how the guy continues to evolve these builds, whether it's Trick Room fast or none of the above, and we will see how that changes. At number 2, I have the Worcester Woo Sox, maybe now the Worcester Red Sox. I honestly don't know. It says Woo Sox, but I don't know what Muhammad calls himself. Previous rank at 3. 2-0 win versus Cat, who has now dropped the league. But still looking at this team sheet, King Gambit. Enough said. What can this thing not do on Muhammad's team? You build a team around coaching Sneasler into King Gambit with a Sinistra and a Belly Bolt to support, and with safety goggles to avoid a Moongus. When your biggest damaging options are Basu Legion Male and a Tinkatongue that can't hit Play Rough, King Gambit's gonna go off. And even your other damage options, the Zoroark, King Gambit's gonna go off. King Gambit's just a terrible matchup for Cat here. Especially when you've got your Kowtow Iron Sucker Protect next to coaching Sneasel. Like the only option you really had in this situation was to fake out with Tinkatongue and Spore with the Moongus and try to go from there. But then you just get belly stuff. You get your Sinistra coming in to support. And then Talonflame and Palafin just didn't need to make an appearance. Like, just there's no need for Tailwind or for Palafin stuff, which disappointing. Want to see how those worked, but these 4 were just so solid. Yeah, Muhammad is really showing himself to be a threat this season. I mean, he's got a great team. King Gambit fell to him. He's just been going off with that. Transaction that Muhammad has gone through with this week has been a Sneasel, dropping the Sneasel. So Sneasel, goodbye. We're taking up Morgrim and Luxray in their place. So Muhammad gets his Intimidator. That's an electric type, which kind of puts the sadness to Belly Bolt, but oh well. And then he gets a budget Grimmsnarl at home. So we will see how that ends up. But looking forward to the changes that get made onto Muhammad's team. Muhammad gets to play Calvin Mogo next week, so we will see how that ends up. Looking forward to it. Very, very good start for Muhammad, and we'll see how that goes. And at the number 1 spot, we have the Battleboro Breylooms, coached by Elena, previous rank of 2. Took a very convincing 2-0 win versus the Macho Mudkips. Let's talk about Choice Band Sneasler. Screw that thing. Holy. Close Combat, Dire Claw, Throat Chop, your standard 4, or standard 3, paired with U-Turn. And this thing just does a ton of damage. You had your Sash and Didi to support. Going Poison Touch here, I mean, which makes sense because you don't really have a reason to run Unburden. Um, Pair that with a Rage Powder Struggle Bug Volcarona, a AV Samurott, um, Citrus Rotom, and Life Orb Mamoswine. And this entire team has the ability to do damage, which is really, really crucial. But this Sneasler, man, just you could not do anything into it. Um, like you can try to do something to it, but it's not gonna work out in your favor. And that's just the sad part about it. Like this thing led game one and game two, picked up a quick KO in game one. Um, got it got picked up 3 KOs in game two. Um, this thing with the Indeedee just went crazy. Indeedee doesn't even. I don't know if Indeedee may follow me. It might, but the fact that follow me did not exist off rip, and this stuff just did damage, which makes sense because you have Psychic Terrain out. But being able to just wipe out this entire team very, very fast is super strong for Elena. There's not much more to say. There's a lot of like cool pieces to this. Like you've got your flip turn on AV Hammerot, which just allows for tempo, which was not brought at all. HH Icicle Crash Ice Shard, which yes, you're bringing Ice Shard into Indeedee Psychic Surge, but in case that ends, it works out. Foul Play Rotom mode did so much damage to Gallade, it was actually crazy. Overall, solid team. Very good week for Elena. This was a very, very hard, very, very strong matchup for both opponents, and Elena just took it by the reins and ran with it. So, very, very good for Elena. They will get to play Mr. B next week, so that will be a very good matchup, but Elena will take over at her top spot going into week 3. So that is our week 3 Koraidon power rankings. Elena takes the top spot at number 1, followed by Muhammad, Nagai, AJ, Mr. B, Chris, Breadman, Calvin, Hawk, Oath, Peaceful Nate, CJ, Jackson, and Jasmine. Overall, definitely a bit more set when it comes to your top teams and your low teams in the Koraidon division, but there can still be a lot of shuffling to happen. There's still 6 weeks left, and a lot of people have not intertwined and played one another. It's very much been like the two sides playing one another, so we will see how that ends out. For our week 3 matchups, we have the number 11 Marlboro Master Balls taking on the number 10 Oak Trees. A matchup to watch will be the number 1 Battleboro Breelooms taking on the number 5 New York Ninetales. In their debut, the number 14 Michigan Garchomps will take on the number 4 Toronto Toads. Our match of the week will be the number 7 Daishay Dogos taking on the number 6 Macho Mudkips. Another match to watch will be the number 8 Boston Claunchers taking on the number 2 Worcester Woosocks. And then to round us out, we have the number 3 Harvard Hatterines taking on the number 13 Pumpkaboos, and the number 12 Cosmic Clefairies taking on the number 9 Island Dragons. So that is it for our Koraidon rankings. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next week. So goodbye.